Hi, everyone. I can see some people have already joined and hope more will join us soon. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. This one is going to be about some modification operations, which might like seem to be minor, but it's very important because without it, it's very difficult to work when you don't know how to cut, how to classify, how to hide. So I believe it's one of the most important topics to cover, and maybe we will have a moment to touch base on the templates, right? So I believe Richard will start, and yes, you can ask any questions that you have. We have our Q&A chat open. Just let us know what you want to know, what you want to ask, and then we will answer. No, we cannot hear you. No, you can hear us, but we cannot hear you. So you can just type in your questions, and yes, we will answer them later today. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so let's start. As Anastasia said, we're going to discuss today measurement editing capabilities and all that stuff. So let me upload one of our demo drawings. Create project. So adjusting editing measurements is very crucial and important. At the same time, we are going to discuss some other stuff about how to handle the takeoffs, how to organize them properly here in the left panel, and so on. But for now, just to start, let's speak about basically the main things about the measurements, how to edit them. For it, I'm going to use the auto measure tool. So auto measure, I'm using, for instance, rooms and areas here. And using that tool, I'm going to get some areas from my drawing, and then I'll use these areas to show you how you can edit, manipulate your measurements. So you see here, AI goes and creates all the measurements. We have some options, like, for instance, rename with AI, which I deactivate here. But what I would like to turn on, classify my measurements. In that case, not by size, but by appearance. I press Create, and now all the measurements, they are divided by some colors in my left panel. So let's speak about basic operations with measurements. First of all, if I click on any measurement, you can see that Kreo shows you on the left that this measurement is selected. The same if you click on the left, all the same measurements are selected on the drawing. If I select or click on any measurement, I can do some simple actions like delete, remove, and so on. These measurements, all of them, are presented in the context menu. And together, here you can see hotkeys for all of them. So you can use all these hotkeys to, for instance, copy, paste, and so on. The same hotkey section is available here in our shortcuts. So if you go to Tools, you can find Tool Shortcuts, then General, and here you can see all the shortcuts about all the basic actions. For instance, here, if I want to delete these measurements, I press backspace or delete, like that. Now it's removed. If I want to undo any step, I have these buttons, undo and redo, here, so you can always make it back, or I can use Ctrl-Z. So if I press Ctrl-Z, this measurement appears back. For now, I'm going to delete these two measurements, let's say. And if we speak about some other basic actions, we can copy something. If I choose all my measurements, it's better to choose measurements like that. You can press Ctrl-C, or again, go into the context menu and find copy. I press copy, go to the next drawing, for instance, that one, and here, this can be very different drawing, but just to show you the logic, I can make right-click and say paste with a point. In that way, you have a pasting point, and you can paste your measurements like that. Other option, if your drawings are perfectly aligned, you can make right-click and say paste in the same place. So you see, if PDFs they are aligned, we paste measurements just in the same place. For sure, it's the second floor, not the first one. That's why some of them are different. But if I have similar drawings, like in that case, second and the third drawing, they just very similar, I can copy something from one drawing and paste to another drawing. So if we speak about it, you have some similar options here, like duplicate or cut. If you cut measurements, it's just the same as you copy them, but you don't have your measurements on the current page anymore. You cut them, go to the next drawing, and you can again paste them with a point or paste in the same place. Another option is generic paste. Kreo will paste them just somewhere in random point, which can be useful as well in some cases. So going back to some other basic actions, we can speak about any single measurement. Let me isolate some measurement for now. Let's say that's one. What is very important, if you click on any measurement, you can see all these points on the right and this point on the top left. This point on the right allows you to rotate your measurements if needed, and this point on the top left allows you to move it like that. So this is a way how you can move your measurement a bit, the entire takeoff. Then, if we speak about how to basically adjust your measurement, modify it a bit, edit, you can have lots of different options how to edit the measurement geometry. So let's speak about it. And let's start from such kind of area measurements. The first thing, any measurement, linear or area, has this center point. I hope you see it. This center point allows you to adjust your measurement by any distance like that, and you can quickly adjust any center line. What is very important? Sometimes, let me show you as an example, you may have such kind of case when you have a segment which related or linked to some other segments like that, you see? So if you're trying to drag it, these two segments, they go together. In that case, you can press Control or Command if you have Mac, and then move it like that. So instead of moving it together with these segments, you just create such kind of extra additional segment here. So again, now I can move it just as it is, the same as that. This is how it works. Don't forget to press Ctrl in such cases. Then you also can use this fly menu for some other modification options. As an example, you have this option, which allows you to flip your measurement vertically, you see, flip horizontally if needed, and so on. How you can use these options if, for instance, half of your drawing is symmetrical to another half of your drawing, you can copy all the measurements, as an example here, paste them to any other place, and then just select all your measurements and flip. So using flip, you cannot measure the second part of your drawing, you can just copy the measurements, flip them, and so on. Next option here is rotate. You can rotate your measurement to the right, to the left by 90 degrees. Again, sometimes this is very useful when you have something similar on the drawing, some similar apartments, you can easily rotate your measurements like that. If the geometry is just identical and you don't want to create a new measurement, you can copy and then rotate. The next button is modify. This is very important, and let's speak about this modify mode a bit more. When I go to modify, you see I have each my measurement point highlighted. Again, to show you the difference, now I don't see these points. If I select my measurement, click modify, I can see each of these points. Another way how to open modify mode is to make double click on your measurement. Double click, and I see each point here. What I can do in this modify mode? First of all, I can add any new point to existing measurement. For instance, here and here. So after I click in any empty space, we add new points. What else you can do? You can select any number of points, maybe 1 point, and move it. You can also select 2 points simultaneously and move it to another place. So this is how it works. And also, maybe you want to adjust something, you can select maybe these 3 points, and now at the very top you have this option. First of all, you can delete the existing points, or maybe align them to the right, to the left. So if I use this align left, now these 3 points, they are in a straight line. And again, if you don't need some of your points, you just select them and delete. So this modify mode basically allows you to create any modification. Why it's very important? Sometimes auto measure may create some measurement with just very minor mistake, maybe something like that. Sometimes it may happen. Instead of deleting this measurement, you can easily go to modify mode, again this button here, or double click on your measurement, select this point, and adjust it to the right place. This is how it works. So that's mostly it about this modify mode, which is here. The next one is knife. Knife allows you to cut your measurement in any way you need. Again, we can assume that maybe this is a corridor which you want to get as individual measurement. What you can do, you can just use your knife, like you knife your pie, and make it just like that, for instance. You just cut it, and you see you have that line. I start from the outside and finish on the outside of my measurement. Now I press enter, and now this is individual measurement and this is individual measurement. Maybe I can move it to another corridor or category like corridor. Maybe I can change color for it and so on, but we'll speak about it later. So using cut or knife, you can cut your measurement in any way you need. Another example, we have this kitchen top. I can use knife tool. Again, you see, start from the outside, somewhere outside. Then I just go through the line I want to cut my measurement through and finish on the outside. Press enter to confirm. And now this kitchen top is separate measurement, which maybe I don't need at all, and I just delete it like that. And using knife, you can cut your measurement in, 10, 20 different segments, just as you need. To show you, you see 4 individual measurements. Okay? Then, what I have next in this flying menu, it's offset. Offset is really nice when, for instance, you have, let me go to another drawing, when you have something like maybe gross external or gross internal area. As an example, I launch gross internal area here. So let us wait a bit. This tool, offset, it allows you to get very similar measurement, but a bit bigger or smaller, but the geometry of the measurement will be just the same. So if I, for instance, call this measurement gross internal area, and press create, I have this takeoff. Using the offset tool, I can make an offset and make the same takeoff but bigger. You see, from all the sides, I just have now the same measurement. At the same time, I can set double side offset, and now you see I have offset in 2 sides. So one measurement part goes outside, and one, which is here, goes inside. Maybe it's not very clear on that color, but I hope that you see it properly. Using the offset tool, you can simply get bigger or smaller measurement, but with just the same shape by the geometry. So now you see you have this offset in just one additional action, something like that. The next tool that you have here is that one very nice tool called Extract Polyline from Polygon. By default, each area has count, perimeter, and area. Sometimes maybe perimeter is not the best choice to get. Maybe you need perimeter a bit adjusted, or you just want to have a separate measurement for your perimeter. This tool works perfectly for it. Extract polyline from Polygon. In this menu, you can choose if you want to save it in the same group or no. At the moment, we don't have any groups at all. You can also press split to segment. We'll explain you a bit later. And then color. I will set another color, let's say red one. Press apply. Now, I still have my area, but also I received this new measurement gear offset, which is not area like that, which is just my linear measurement. And you see, it's one single measurement with total length 85.14. The same as perimeter in the previous measurement. This is one single line, and again, if I choose any size of that line, you see, I adjust it, so I can see that it's just one line, which I can make bigger or smaller. If I go back to this area, let me hide it, I choose the same option, but now select split to segment. I will choose blue color to show you and press apply. Now I have additional measurement with the same total length, 18.14, as perimeter, as original perimeter, but now it's not one measurement. I have 11 measurements here. If I isolate it, you see why it's 11, because now each line here is individual measurement. So if I now trying to adjust this line, you see it's not connected to any other lines. So now we don't have one total long measurement. We just have all these measurements individually. The same about that line. If I choose it and move, you see it's not connected here. It allows you basically maybe to delete some segments that you don't need or adjust them as you need it. So using that tool, you can get, again, any linear object based on your area. And it works for a couple of areas simultaneously. So that's all about modification of your areas mostly, but we have two more really nice features, which I'm going to show you here. Let me delete all the takeoffs for now. If I have such kind of area, you for sure can use one-click area tool to measure it in one click, something like that. You just make a click, AI initially analyzes the drawing, but then you can get very fast this measurement as one single area. And you can press create. Okay, you see, this is how it works. You can use this one-click area tool to get your areas. But maybe, again, you get something from the auto measure, not perfect, and so on. That's why I'm going to show you the next tool here, which is mesh. How mesh works, if you have a couple of areas together, as an example, I have this rectangle, and then I have that rectangle. You see they are overlaid in that place. What I can do now, I can select them both rectangles here, and now they are two, but I have merge option. If I merge them, I can activate keep or no. If I don't want to keep the existing, I can press apply. And now I have one total measurement with total area and total perimeter. It's no longer two individual measurements, just my room. So using merge option, you can merge as many measurements. Again, just as an example, you have some maybe rectangle here, then another rectangle here, and maybe something else, I know. Here, for sure, it's better and much easier to use AA tools, but maybe in some cases, you can have something like that, I know. And you select all the measurements, press merge, apply, it's done. Now this is one single takeoff. Honestly, it would be even faster than manual tool, point by point, Polygon, something like that, where you need to click here, here, and something like that. So this is the merge option, and pretty similar thing we have for removing some areas. So if I choose rectangle to point, just to let you know, make it in a blue color, and maybe I want to remove some area in the middle, like that. So this area, maybe something on the edge, like that. Maybe some additional area in the middle, maybe like that, as an example, and so on. Now, I have these three areas. I select them together with my green area, and I have not only merge, but also I have subtract. If I go to that option, I need to click initially on the base polygon. Kreo asks me to select base polygon. I'm clicking on a green one, and now I see a pretty similar window. Kreo asks me if I want to keep these existing areas, because maybe this is my facet drawing with blue windows. In that case, I would like to keep my windows. But if I don't want to keep them, I just press apply, and now you see I got the new measurement with all these areas removed. And again, you can remove or merge as many areas simultaneously as needed. So that's mostly it about modification of your area measurements. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask in the Q&A session in the chat. And now I want to go ahead to show you similar things, but related to linear objects. For instance, I have some linear wall takeoff. Again, maybe it's my manual measurement, maybe it's from the AI, no difference. I have this measurement, and you can see I have all the same option: flip, modify, where you can select this point, move, maybe add new points, and so on. You have knife, you can knife it in the same way, for instance, knife that part of your door from your measurement, and now this is individual segment. You can give it another color, maybe set another height. Just as an example, if I select the entire measurement, set height as 3 meters, maybe this is not the correct quantity for my finishing. But if I have this as individual segment, I can say that height is 1 and offset as 2. We'll discuss it later in more details and get such kind of thing. So knife easily allows you to adjust your measurements, no matter is it area or linear. Then you have the same extract, split polyline into segments, so you get individual linear sizes. And then you have this enclose. If you have two measurements, you can use the enclose, you can use join option like that. So if needed, you can merge this polyline, or if you use enclose, not the right case to show you, but 1 second, let me try to find something. For instance, maybe something like that. If I have measurement like that, I assume it would work. I can use enclose and apply to get area based on my line. So you see, I had this line like that. And if I want to get now area based on it, Kreo can enclose this and you get one area at the end of the day. So going back, you see all the tools, they have very similar logic, all the same stuff. The only one difference here, which is real difference, is continue option. Continue allows you to continue your existing measurement. So if, for instance, I have this wall measurement, let me isolate it. I have this wall measurement. For sure, I can press plus, choose polyline, and create just a new polyline. You see, it's not linked to my previous measurement. I can create it here, yeah, or maybe I can create it here, but now this is new individual measurement. I press create, and you now see two polylines. They're not one individual measurement, just two measurements with identical values. But if you want to continue, really continue existing measurement, you can go to this button, continue, and now you choose from which end you want to continue. I click on that end, and now you see I just basically continue creating my line. And if I want, I can finish it here or go next, I know here, just as an example, maybe like that, and go in that way. So continue allows you to continue any existing measurement here. Then finally, we have count tool. To show you the count, I'm going to use auto count here. Auto count allows you to find any similar geometries, like for instance, doors, windows, and so on. And we released a nice update here now. Auto count works for all pages. So you see, you can choose all pages of the file, press search, and now Kreo goes through all my drawings in the entire project. In the entire project here, you see first page, second, third, and it finds all the same doors on all pages at once. But what I wanted to show you here, after you press create, you get these measurements counted, okay? How you can modify count? Pretty in the same way. You have rotation option, flip option, you have modify mode, which works by the logic just the same. I can choose these two doors and maybe adjust them a bit. I can delete them, or I can split them, because I see that in that case, I have my balcony doors. What I can do, I can go to modify, press on my control, select my balcony doors. You see, I select them with control, and now press here to split. If I press split now, Kreo splits my measurements. Now, this is one takeoff. Sorry, it's called wall, but let me rename this to doors. I have two individual measurements. That one, and I can say that this is my balcony door. Apply, it's done. And I can even change door's balcony to another color, for instance, green one. And you can see that I just split it one count into two individual counts. They are not one entity anymore. And the same, if you want to merge them into one, you can select both counts, use this option, join, and now you can join all your counts into one total measurement like that. So that's mostly it. Again, here you have the same logic to continue the measurement and add maybe a couple of more counts manually and so on. So now we basically discussed all the modification tools for your measurements. Just to summarize, you always can adjust any line size by its geometry. As an example, by any line here, you can find lots of options in our fly menu. You can also see this context menu here, or after you make a right click and find all the same options, copy, paste, modify, and so on. So what also is very important here is this panel on the right. Let me just delete some of these measurements and continue showing you how it works. One sec, let me delete that. And going back to my first drawing. So what you see on the right, you also have some edits here, which is available for any selected measurement or when you create a measurement. Very important. When I'm creating a measurement, you see, do not forget to change these values. Measurement name, height, offset, color, line thickness, line style. You can change this anytime later, but it would be better to set the right values before measurement creation. What I mean, I choose, let's say, my polyline tool, say external wall, say height, 3 meters, choose color, maybe that one. And now you can just simply measure this external wall, for instance, like that. Press enter to finish it, and I have my external wall already with my height value. But anytime later, you can select your measurement and change this value. Let's start from name. Here you have edit. You can rename this measurement by replacing the name. In that way, you replace the entire name, maybe facet, facet. Okay, it's enough. Apply. Now I renamed the entire measurement. Now I can add prefix or suffix if needed. For instance, let's say south or something like that. You press apply, and now you have facet south for this measurement. Next option here is type. It's non-editable. It just shows you that this is linear object, not area, not count, just line. Then stroke. For these options, you see, you have this pencil button, and this is your edit option. Using this pencil, you can easily edit, in that case, stroke, which is line thickness. You see, if I make it bigger, I can get my line much thicker. And the same works for areas. For instance, if I choose all these areas all together, choose stroke and make it thicker, you see all these lines, they just much thicker. Or I can make it 4, 1, as you like it, just like that. The next option here is what you can change is style. So dashed line or line like that, dashed with dot, or regular line. If you want, you can change this line as well. Then you have color. Again, you can select measurement and change its color right here, or the same option presented in a context menu styles. You see all the options here. How to change the color? Pencil button, you have used colors. So these are colors, all the colors from your current project. If you want to select the existing, you click one of them. You can open color menu and see Kreo default colors. Not a very big palette, but usually it's enough. If you want to create any custom color, you just click on this plus button, And now you can create any color using hex code or just selecting the right color from the palette. You can create basically any color you wish, any dark green or any special green you want. Again, if you know hex code, use it. Apply and save. And now you see I changed this measurement color to such kind of dark green. And now this dark green color always will appear in my custom color palette until I could make right click and remove it. So in the same way, you see I created a custom, which is black, and I can get my black measurement. Or the same I can do in white, click white, and I have this measurement as white. Not very nice to see it here in white, but in some drawings it's really good. Okay, then the next option you have is group. Now we don't have any groups, that's why let's skip it. Finally, you have height, offset, and if you have linear object, you will get thickness. Let's discuss it. Let me delete some of these measurements for now. And I have, you see, some of these blue measurements. Maybe it's not blue, okay. So if I choose all of them, I can input their height as, for instance, 3 meters. Okay, now I get these values, vertical area and volume, very nice features to see this in 3D view. I can see all my measurement values, like height and so on, in 3D. Additionally, we have offset, and you can say offset just for your visual representation. If you input offset as 3 as well, now these measurements, they're flying in the air 3 meters on top of the drawing. You can say that now this is not your room, this is maybe your slab, and input thickness of your slab like 0.3. And now you see your slab or ceiling, maybe beam, and so on. What is very important, if you have these measurements here and you want to change any value, you can always change it right away. You can see I go here, I change it, I press enter. But now, if I choose all the measurements from my drawing, in height, I see mixed. Also in color, I see mixed. And mixed means that you have selected measurements with different value in that kind of parameter. So color is mixed, height is mixed. What I can do? I can click on that list and see available options. Please note, this is not my edit, this is filter. So if I click on a blue or on orange, I will have only orange measurement selected. You see, I'm clicking on orange. I don't have mixed here any longer, and only orange measurements are selected. The same if I do this height. I see height is mixed. Some have 0.3, some empty value. If I click on empty value, I see only measurements with empty value in height. I don't see this, but I see this blue and orange. They still have mixed color, so I can make it here. If you want to make a change, for instance, you see that empty value, it's a mistake, you have two options. The first one, just click on the empty value and now input the right value here, 0.3. You press enter, okay, you edited missed value. Now, you see I select all of them, I have 0.3. And another option, for instance, I will make for some of them, again, empty value, or maybe 0.5 as an example. I select all my measurements, again, go here and see 0.3 and 0.5. This is very important. If I want to edit all of them, what I can do, press on this pencil button, and here I can input the value for all of them. If I want to see 0.3, I input 0.3. If I want to input maybe the new value, 0.4, I can input it, press enter. Now, all of them, they have 0.4, no mixed value for my height. The same for color. Want to make them in one color, green, okay, it's done. If you see mixed and you want to change it, use this pencil button. This is how it works. Then, if we go ahead to speak about this panel on the left, this panel allows you to control a lot of things for your measurements. First of all, if you want to rename your measurements, you can do it right from here. For instance, Polygon, maybe it's not the right name, I want to get floor. Yes, I can input it right here and say floor. Polyline, I click on it, I see, maybe it's also not the right way, maybe it's wall. For now, let me just delete it and go back. So I have my floor name. What else I can do? Let's say half of my measurements, I'm going to say that they have another name or another color. Let's make another color, red one. Now, what I can easily do, I can hide or unhide my measurements using this I button. Let me make it a bit more advanced. And let me go to that drawing and launch auto measure here again, just to show you some option how I can quickly control the visibility of my measurements. Using that tool, I button on the left, you can easily hide some measurements or vice versa, isolate them. This is very useful when you have lots of different measurements, different by the type, by the color, by the name, and so on. For instance, here, I'm going to launch my rooms and areas. Okay, I will not use rename with AI, and I will adjust it like that and say classify by appearance. And now I will call all of them floors or just floor and press create. Now I have all these measurements. Additionally, I will launch walls as an example. I give them name like wall. Again, AI goes, classifies, maybe split them by size. I press create, and now I have all these walls and all my floors. Now, maybe it's not really very clear what is going on here. What I can do, I can use this I button to hide my measurements as you see it. So, using this I button, I can hide or unhide any category in my left panel. At the same time, you see I hide all of them, right-click and press Show All or hotkey Ctrl+H to show them back all. I see all, but maybe now I want to see only my red floors. How to do it? No need to click on each I button one by one like that. No need to do it. What you can do instead, you have all these measurements. You want to see only floor red. Double click on I button, double click, and I see only red measurements. Now I can maybe unhide a couple of more and see the measurements that I want. Again, I want to see wall 150. Double click on I button, I see all this wall 150. Maybe I now can unselect some other types if needed. So the I button easily allows you to isolate any measurement. But what is really important, sometimes it's very nice to use groups here. And this is very important feature in Kreo. If you don't want to have flat list of all your measurements, right-click on your measurements and press group. Now, all of them go to group. I can give it a name, like for instance, floor. And now I can say that this is maybe my tile. This is maybe hardwood, and so on. So I can have all these measurements renamed, and now I can control the visibility using the group. Another option to create group is click here on a plus button, new group. I select all my measurements with Shift and drag and drop them here to this group and say walls. So now, using one click here, I can hide and unhide all my walls and control the visibility. If you want to make color for your group, for instance, all floors should be in the same color, you can set color for your group here. And now, each measurement that you will move to that group will have the same color. Also, you can press plus and create subgroups, or you can create sub-measurements again. Then walls, again, plus, new group in the group. You see this new group appears here, and I can say internal walls and external walls. And then, just an example, external walls. I can isolate my walls category, select all these internal walls, and drag and drop them to internal category. If I need, I can change the color to the green one and external to the blue one. I choose my external walls, drag and drop them to external walls. Now I have some walls which are not there. I hide my groups for external and internal walls using the I button. So using these buttons, I hide all the existing, and I need to validate some of these measurements. This is what I want to delete, maybe, delete this as well. Then here I see these three measurements, they should go to internal walls, and then these two, they should go to external. Again, if needed, you can hide it anytime. So this drag and drop to external, and this also to internal. This is a way how we can easily operate your measurements and move them. Another way how to move your measurements is not only drag and drop available, but you can select any number of measurements and then click on this button Move To, which is here, or the same button duplicated here, Move To. You click Move To, and now Kreo shows you the entire group breakdown. You simply choose internal walls, move, it's done. So now you see I moved these walls to internal category. Again, I select these two walls, that wall and that wall with Control, press move to external, move, it's done. Now they moved back to external walls. So you can use drag and drop to move it here. Then, if you have any existing group breakdown, like walls, internal and external, and you by some reason want to duplicate it, you have this group duplicate, this option duplicate groups. Now you can say maybe it was your, concrete walls, but maybe this is walls masonry. And you can do it like that. So again, not maybe the best example, but the logic here is to show you that you can duplicate groups. Another option here, collapse and uncollapse everything, control sorting by name or creation date, and ascending, descending, and then filters. In filters, you can select by measurement type. Again, you see I have all my measurements, area and linear measurements. I can go to filter, by type, and select area. I don't see areas here even. You see floors, it looks empty because I have filter applied, which hides all my areas. The same by color, by creator, and other options, how you can filter your measurements. Then you may wonder why all these measurements are united here, tile and floor. They are united because they have all the same parameters on the right. You see they have the same name, the same color, and all the same. For instance, this measurement is called tile. If I choose one of them and input here some value or change some value or change color, just as an example, I will add suffix tile 30 by 40. Apply. Now this measurement is separated from the previous. It has another value. The same, let me select another measurement, let's say this one, tile, and I maybe want to add height for it, okay, or any other value. If I add height, this tile will be also separated. You see, I have one single tile with height, and all the rest tiles, they have now mixed, because some of them have empty value. So what is very important, here Kreo splits all your measurements if they have some differences. But if you need it, you can go to the settings, and here you have some options like hide empty groups and so on, but you can deactivate pivot mode, and if it's turned off, you can see each individual measurement in a very long list like that. So you can now control each individual measurement visibility, or rename it, or see it on the drawing like that. Again, in some cases, you can just collapse all your groups and see all the measurements like that. Maybe it can be useful in some cases. If I want to see them as it is in one line, pivot again. Then some other options, which are templates. Very important thing, we are going to the template part. And so template here allows you to create your group template. Let me show you how it works. I have my main template, I press apply, and now you see a lot of groups appeared. how they appeared here, because I saved this template before. Foundation, frame, walls, finishes, and so on. So what it means, if I, for instance, delete this template, and I want to have these groups as my new templates, walls, floor, and walls masonry, I go here, go to template, and press create template. When you click here, we save your current group breakdown, for instance, floors, walls, masonry walls. You can make it available to everyone in the company and press create. Now, this template will be with you forever until you delete it. You see, floors, walls, masonry walls. Now, anytime in any project you press apply, you get the same groups. So you don't need to get and create all these groups each time. You see, go to my new project or previous project, go to my template, here, scroll down, apply, it's done. I have the same groups now. And you can apply it as many times as needed. Okay? Then, going back here, one more final thing is that you can make this template kind of used by default. What it means. You remember I have this main template, which I showed you, apply. This is my main template, starting from foundation, finishing flats. If I go to my main template, I can make it used by default. Now, this template will be applied automatically for each new project I create. I press create project, upload a drawing, choose my drawing. Please note, this is not my project template. This is a really different thing. I press create. Open it, and you see you have all these groups by default because I selected template, and this is applied by default. So I don't need to apply it manually, but if needed, I can press apply and apply it again. So you can have your template automatically from very beginning when you create your project. This is how it works. Now we discussed mostly everything about this group basic. Another and really final thing here is about this filter, all pages. Again, as an example, going back to some previous basic actions, I press Ctrl+C, go to the next drawing, make right-click, paste in the same place. I pasted the measurements, and you see they just go to the same groups. This is very nice because I have this option activated, which is set keep structure. Keep structure will keep your pasting measurement groups as it is. If this option is deactivated, please see if I now go to the next drawing, right click and say paste in the same place, they are pasted here in my root, in my breakdown, not in my groups. If I activate this option back, delete my measurements, you see I have 64, maybe 94 measurements total, right click, paste in the same place, 141. So if it's activated, you will paste just in the same place, which is usually what you need. Some other options like keep focus, names are available here, but let us go back to the filter. You have your filter here, all pages, which means that you see now measurements from all pages. Sometimes maybe you want to see measurements only from current page and you can click it here. And now you see these groups walls, it's empty because I don't have any measurements there. Again, let me delete something. You see walls, it's empty, but if I go to my page number 2, it's not empty because here I have some walls, I can show you them. So if you choose current page, you see measurements only on current page, but if you choose all pages, you see measurements from all pages. Very important that groups you see always forever until you delete them. You see masonry, wall masonry. It's empty on all pages, and no matter do I choose current page or all pages, I see it. Another option here is opened pages. Opened pages means pages which are here. So for instance, I have some measurements on page 4, and if I choose all pages, I see 141. If I close this page, I just don't see it now, close that. I still see 141 because all pages is selected. But then I choose current page and I have only 47 measurements here. That's the difference. So I hope that this is clear. Again, here Kreo has some other nice features about how you can create your measurements using plus button right in the group and so on. But now we just speak about measurement modification. And let me show you one more final thing before we go ahead to speak about your questions. I showed you this template here, but another template is located on your main tab, and it's called template for project. Very important, now we can save our project we created with you as a template, save as a template, go to templates, open it here, and now this can be transformed to our template. But additionally, we can start our template from scratch, and this is a bit more advanced template, just for instance, demo template, I know, NRM1. I press create empty project template, and now here I can create my groups. I know again, substructure, superstructure, and so on. So you can create groups right in your template. Again, you can apply, if needed, the existing template for your groups just as it is. What else you can do here? Why it's more advanced? Because here you can create your reports preview. For instance, spreadsheet page, you create your spreadsheet page, you create table with measurements, and you can set them. For instance, here I can make some columns like code, description, and so on. Or if I have any Excel template, I can simply import it to Kreo. And all this in my template. I import my Excel file, and then what I do, let's wait for this to be imported. A second. Yeah, it takes time. Okay, now it's imported. You see, I imported my Excel file. Now I can link each group. For instance, here I need piles. Right-click on piles, group to cell, total area. Here, reinforced concrete slab. Footing, foundation slab, group, total volume. I link my quantities from my group to my Excel. And the same, if I use this takeoff report, I can set configuration for it. For instance, say level 1 grouping, here level 2 grouping and level 3 grouping. Then I want to see columns like count, length, area, perimeter, and volume maybe. And now I can get totals for them. Just as an example, finally count, something like that. Change maybe color if needed, and so on. So this template is really much more advanced compared to that template, because this is only your group template, and that is your project template. Now, you see, this template is deactivated. It's no longer used by default. What I can do, I go to my Create Project tab, and I'm going to use this demo template NRM1, create project, select this demo template, upload my drawing again, and now, very important, from the very beginning, I not only have my group breakdown, which I can for sure edit in the same way, but I also have, you see, all my outputs like that. So if I create any measurement now in, for instance, piles group, just as an example, or foundation slab, I choose foundation slab, create this measurement like that, no worries. Now, I need to fill in only height for it, 0.5. And you see, this volume appeared, it instantly appeared here. I want to measure my piles. Again, it says piles by square meter of footprint. I choose piles group, create this footprint measurement, and it instantly appears here. And the same about my Takeoff tab. I instantly have here foundation, foundation slab, piles, and all my quantities. So this is a bit more advanced template for you, where you can set up everything, measurements, reports, and if you use item assembly database, you can already assign items and assemblies in your template the same as you assign them in a project. Let us know if you need any help with that. Feel free to use this in-app chat to ask some help. We are always here to help you. So now I would suggest to go through your questions. I see that we have some questions in the chat. So I think that, Anastasia, if you can read the questions and then I can reply on them.
Information about upcoming features and answers to your questions are available only at the webinar. Join the next one.
And that's it with the questions. Thank you very much for sharing them. Again, you are very much welcome to request a demo on the website. We'll be happy to schedule something like one-on-one, and then you can decide on whether to test Kreo or to proceed with it or not. But yes, thank you very much, Richard, for such a in-depth look at the modification tools. And yes, all of our webinars are posted on our YouTube channel. Again, they're different. We covered reports previously. We covered AI tools. Today was about modification tools. So you are very much welcome to go to the YouTube channel and maybe check something else that we previously recorded from the previous webinars. So yes, thank you very much for your time, everyone. Thank you, Richard, and see you in 2 weeks.
See ya. Bye-bye.